Well, it's launch weekend. We are back for the cast off and the opening launch weekend LAN in Columbus, Ohio. My name is Corin. With me is Zobi. It's been fun so far. A lot of great and talented casting duos have taken to the stage, but a lot of teams here vying for their shot to be able to take over and take home the first LAN of the coveted Black Ops 6 season, which is shaping up to be quite the year of Call of Duty. As said beforehand, though, Zobi, this is kind of your return to Call of Duty, kind of getting your feet wet once again. How's it felt so far, and what are you excited for?
I played Black Ops back in the day on the Xbox 360 when it first came out. I got my Xbox Game Pass and loaded up Black Ops 6 to play some campaign and play some death matches to learn the new maps, and it has truly been a blast. And coming from Valorant, another FPS, I feel like I'm coming full circle to now my first Call of Duty cast period, and I'm excited to do it with you, Corn, as well. Very, very experienced, and I respect what you're gonna bring to the table here.
Well, I appreciate that. And again, if you guys want to see us back here tomorrow, even though you've only heard us for about 30 seconds at this point, you can cast your vote in chat or at that link down below. I believe some people will throw it in that chat here in just a moment. But again, we've had some great duos out here today, as I mentioned beforehand. Colorblind and Skiff coming off that banger between a couple of CCL players and some new and begone Challenger players as well. So great names to look out for them. Again, you don't have to vote for us, but again, every vote for us is a kiss from me to you. Keg and Narski, some other guys that I've worked with beforehand in the past, and then a few other names that I haven't gotten a chance to really work with throughout the Call of Duty scene, but have come over from other esports. Again, Zobi being one of those people, it's a pleasure to be able to take the stage with all of them throughout this weekend and really give you guys some great coverage of Call of Duty that we've had so far. Speaking of this tournament as a whole, we got to give a big shout out to our sponsor, of course, Earn Your Medal, one of the many orgs that have gone ahead and made this event possible for us. Established in 2019 out of the state of California, Earn Your Medal has been competing in Call of Duty and Valorant over the last few years.
It's the perfect blend of me and you, Corn. They operate in Call of Duty and Valorant, right? Like, we couldn't have gotten a better sponsor for our little cast-off segments. But aside from that, then, Corn, we should probably jump into our match. I know all of our players are getting ready to get into lobbies. And so for our upper quarterfinals, we got Team Acrylic versus Team CABAL Gaming. And you were giving me kind of the crash course on these two teams. And it's like a mix of experiences, right? We got some Latinum challengers. We got some NA challengers. We even got some retired, maybe, Call of Duty League players. So what players should we keep an eye on between these two teams?
Oh, I mean, first and foremost, when you're looking at this, you'd be amiss to look top left. That's Arcides, Big Daddy Alec. Man has done pretty much everything under the sun when it comes to Call of Duty. If there were still X Games, he probably would have won one back when those were happening. One of the best ARs that I've gotten to witness and watch throughout my young career in Call of Duty. Casting over him is always a fun time. But Big Daddy Alec is going to surprise and stun once again. Look for him to take over. Same thing on Team Acrylic. Look to Dak as well. Dak, CCL player, top challengers player, a top 4 placer, almost a mainstay throughout the entire year. Hopefully he gets a shot at the upper level into the CDL in this upcoming year. Would love to see him play harder and go even further forward. Neum and Merc, names that might not be too familiar to everybody across the board, still phenomenal players in their own regard, looking to make a name for themselves, not only throughout this LAN, but the entirety of the Black Ops 6 season. Specifically, Merc, I'll be looking to him to really have a big home-staying year. If we flip sides down to CABAL Gaming, though, this is where things get spicy. We look to CoD, we look to Thresh, we look to KB and Rooper, but the two guys on here that I have the most familiarity with are Thresh and Rooper, both guys being able to play with Snoopy on the roster back during MW2. That stunned a lot of people in that first Challengers Cup. They went on to make names not only throughout the season, but they made waves for themselves specifically. But again, everybody knows the story of Snoopy going up to the CDL, playing with the Boston Breach. Thresh and Rooper, though, on CABAL Gaming, definitely ones to keep eyes on. CoD, a mainstay when it comes to local LANs. I've watched him multiple times in person down in South Florida and Miami when he's done some of those AFD events, and even events that Cheeto Wonga and the boys have been able to sponsor down there. So tons of talent across the board when we talk about this, but we'll take a look at our map set now. Black Ops 6 has given us some interesting maps, but this map set is pretty much lay of the land.
For sure. We're going to need a double rewind back-to-back with the different game modes of Hardpoint and Search and Destroy, Protocol, Vault, and Skyline. Now, like I said, I got to dip my toes into, the Black Ops 6 when it first came out. And so, I was running back through the tutorial, which is on Protocol, and then I was playing my death matches in Vault. So those are the kind of I'm looking forward to. Which map do you think has been kind of, I guess, like the most refreshing, or do you think is going to be like the spiciest out of this pool when we get into this best of 5, though?
I mean, personally, just speaking from aesthetics purely, I think Skyline going to that map 5 sets a beautiful kind of picture for the ending to a series. But the maps that I've kind of stayed away from, at least in pubs while I've been playing them, protocol. I'm not a huge fan of the map just because it feels a bit BR-y, almost like a Warzone-esque map. It plays quite well, though, when it comes into 4v4. And same thing with Rewind. A lot of people hated on it in the beta. Coming into the CDL rotation and what looks to be a map for the competitive season upcoming, it's been a lot more fun to watch in a competitive standpoint for Hardpoint and Search and Destroy. Obviously, you'll see what happens if the third game mode ends up being Control later on in the year, what maps will be playing for that. I can only imagine the map pool will probably be 3 to 4. 4 might even be a stretch on that. But we'll start at Rewind for the Hardpoint. And again, this year, things feel a bit different because of how small the maps tend to be. This is one of the few maps in the game that actually do have all 5 of the hard points that we're used to in a standardized best-of-5 series, and a hardpoint map specifically. But I do think here in this game, there's a lot to say about teams playing together. I think a lot of people have Team Acrylic at the top of this matchup just because you see the names like Dak and Arcides on that roster, where CABAL Gaming have strength that these guys, they know how to play with one another. The passion that they can bounce off of one another as well goes much, much further than just having your name out there. So be ready for this. I think this is going to be much closer of a series than people might think. CABAL Gaming have a very good shot to take this series. The hard points are going to be very telling.
Well, you've set the scene quite well. Kind of the predetermined victors versus kind of this breeding ground, as you called it, when a player had moved up from CDL with the squad that is CABAL Gaming. So we get to jump into the action here. Obviously, starting out on Hardpoint, headed towards that first capture. We might get some early confrontations here. The first blood already going to KB.
Ripper doubles back. CABAL Gaming open with a nice pair of kills, but Team Acrylic were the first ones to touch the point. Got a lot of mainstay map control at the moment on that south side for CABAL Gaming. Mercules will back all the way off and try to rewrap himself back into the damage. But right now, it's going to be trades inside of the hill that go 2 for 1 for CABAL Gaming. They'll maintain position, and Rupert finds the last one. Nail in the coffin. This should be some good time for CABAL.
A nice slide in, and they are starting to rack up these points, but easy contest, and now nobody back on the point here. It's going to be that center of the map duel as the respawns and then the re-rotations come in as CABAL gets back on point, and it's an immediate contest here. Yet again, head-to-head utility flying, and so are the shots.
And realistically speaking, a lot of this game, again, as I said beforehand, this game is going to feel a lot faster. It's going to play a lot closer. There's going to be a lot more opportunities to contest and break hills because of how close the spawns are and how small the maps are. Comparatively to MW2, MW3, the games we've seen in recent memory, you know, you'd have maybe 1 or 2 breaks, especially going back to a map like Sub-Base last year. You're going to see a lot of that high-flying action all around throughout the year of Black Ops 6.
A nice 2-piece here from the side of Team Acrylic as well. And you talked about it, right? We started out in that mid capture point, but now that it's moved towards Team Acrylic's spawn, it's a little bit quicker of a rotation, a contention point for them to get back here. That's why I think they've pulled ahead here so early on, 31-10 already. We got to see something to make up this ground, and CoD with the multi-kill on 3 is exactly how you want to try to get back into things, but they still are not on the point. And there we go, finally, but Team Acrylic back on, still racking up his points, and now they're going to reach 40. The lead is only growing here, Corn.
And it's one of those things too, you know, if CABAL are trying to collapse on the point, again, you get those initial 4 down, you think you have plenty of time in the hill, and then that hit comes back. It's hard, but we go to the north side of the map now, over by the diner. Team Acrylic will have the 2 players there, and you just see player 2. That's going to be Neum, who's just played himself life. His life has stayed alive. So now as you look back over towards the left side where the spawns keep coming in, you have a pinch set up for KB from CABAL Gaming, but he has been snuffed out. Team Acrylic know that somebody's back there. The fight for the hill is on. The first 60 go the way of Team Acrylic. Still 40 seconds of time to play for at the diner.
You know, I really liked this idea from KB, right? Trying to shut off these kind of respawn points, especially since it is kind of currently under the control of Team Acrylic, and your teammates were trying to fight their way back in. But unfortunately, they've just given so much respect to Team Acrylic that they are still readily stacking up these points. Here comes a huge challenge, but unfortunately, one of their side players has been picked off here. So it's just 2 fighting against 1, and I think a nade takes multiple of them off guard. So finally, a break in the momentum. CABAL able to start racking up more points, able to set up shop here with the turret in a tow. Here we go. The defense is good. Rotation should be coming out, though, of the point here soon enough. So have they even bought enough time?
I mean, realistically, the thing here so far is CABAL, they've been sacrificing and being content with playing for the back, 15, 20 seconds. It's not going to win you games. Team Acrylic have rotated them every single hill so far. Sure, we've only gone through 4 hard points, but that lead continues to grow almost past that century point. So Arcides down by the diner, trying to hold off the crosses, getting back towards the right side for P4. Hill time held down from Team Acrylic. You probably have about 2 to 3 good more pushes at this before you have to chalk it up and get back across the map. But again, if CABAL Gaming don't play their cards correctly, they're going to be playing for that back 15 once again. It's been on the back foot this entire series. Not a great start for them. Something that maybe this map hasn't been able to get them so far. I thought Rupert was not doing another. It was just his teammate as he finds 3.
Yeah, no, dominant here so far, and like you mentioned, the early game not going their way when the capture point was closer to their spawn, so now they have to traverse the entire globe just to get there, and when they finally do, it's just head-to-head and consistent control and domination here from Team Acrylic.
Man.
I mean, they're setting up forward defenses in front of their own capture point here, preventing even really the initial assault from CABAL Gaming. Like, they're getting nowhere near here, and now finally they just set up for the next hard point, right? They knew it was coming, they knew the regeneration was here. They're going to try and keep them off of that finish line here as we reach about the halfway point for the side of Team Acrylic. They finally are going to get the momentum, but it's a head-on challenge. Both players on site, and it's finally going to go the way of Team Acrylic here as we got to see Doc able to find the kill on a Thresh. Now, they continue racking up points like it's Saturday afternoon in the office.
I thought Thresh was going to be good for at least 3 there. Might have blocked him out of the front of the hill, but as CABAL Gaming even set up on the rotation, Acrylic are just able to fly into the point. And this comes from practice. This comes from maturity. This comes from veteranship out of Team Acrylic. You look to Arcides, who's 14-9, who's taken over the game, allowed himself to push his team forward, but I have to imagine the comms are very cool, calm, and collected for Team Acrylic at this point. Sure, a few breaks come in. CABAL will get in for maybe the last 15 seconds, but it's not a big deal if you're Team Acrylic at the moment. All you're looking at is the scoreboard where you're up by 100 points. You're going to the next set of rotations. You've smoked them on every hill so far. You're going back into the middle of the map where things get mixy once again. Rupert and KB find double. Is it going to be enough to hold them off the front? I don't believe so, as Niam's in the back line trying to make the flank hit.
Both of them here, really great timing on getting to this new hardpoint established, but it seems like the fights are finally going in the favor of CABAL. Rupert, a nice nade here to try and flush these players out, but the contest is still good for both of these squads. It's a stalemate until somebody is going to give, and so far the trades are good as CG finally is going to pull ahead. Arcides, you mentioned them, they are the ones stepping up here, wrestling the control back so that Team Acrylic is back in control of this center hardpoint here. 165 and accounting here, quite literally. Just almost 4 times what CABAL Gaming has at this point. A killing spree of 5 as well.
I'll be honest here, folks. I know you're looking at the scoreboard, you're looking at the kill feed, and the names aren't matching up. Look, it's to be expected. I don't remember, again, I said this in chat earlier, I don't remember the last time that we've seen a CODcaster come out and work off rip, probably within the first 2 weeks in years. I don't know if we've ever had one that's worked on a release. So bear with us. We might say names that look wrong in the feed. It's just what we're seeing on our screen, so bear with us once again. 30-point lead, though, for Team Acrylic as we go forward. The names are correct. CABAL Gaming getting smoked in map 1 here. This rewind has not been close ever since the get-go. Arcides will just pop a double on the card made outside. P2 locked down and is full at the moment. You're going to get a few more kills around the outside, but again, it's the pressure in and around the hill. It's being able to push out after that initial break into the hill that works out so well for Team Acrylic. And this one, I mean, it's pretty much already over. I don't see a world where CABAL Gaming have the opportunity to come back, but hey, bigger things and crazier things have happened.
True. Maybe Search and Destroy will be their game, but for now, right, there's less than 50 seconds left before Team Acrylic will capture this map number 1 on a rewind here. And of course, they're kind of just on their spawn side here. It was under their control. Some nice, again, utility and a 3-piece as well from, I want to say it's Arcides actually was Merc in our names, if we remember correctly here. And so they just, again, are swarming this site. The respawns come through for CABAL, but they're not fast enough. They're losing their opportunity. They're losing their ground. I mean, we have about 20, 30 seconds before Team Acrylic is going to take the lead. And unfortunately unfortunately, I should say, the hardpoint respawn, it does mean they'll get at least some control back, but how long is it going to last, Corn?
I just love shooting bodies. There's nothing better, especially on land, being able to get loud, just shoot the bodies. I mean, some things you don't even need words to say. The actions are expressive enough themselves, but as he turned back around, Thresh is able to go ahead and find a trade onto his teammate. It's a good double that comes in for CABAL Gaming, but again, we're just so far into the late game here where you got to start thinking about that search and destroy. Where we see this map once again for map 2. CoD will back off from the Diner-wise re-challenge back to the help of his teammates, but the safe harbor won't be enough. 20 points now for the win as KB looks to push up the map. Maybe try to give CABAL Gaming one last shot at the hill.
Yeah, new spawn point about to come into if they even make it that far here, right? It might be the photo finish of them closing out the 250 before the hardpoint swaps, and that's exactly what they're going to, defending this with their life. They want to end it before things swap, and it's got to be, like I said, that photo finish, but the contest comes through. It might swap it literally seconds to spare here as Team Acrylic takes it back into their control. They're going to be 4 points short, so the site now in control of CABAL Gaming, but they have to be near perfect from here on out, and unfortunately that's going to slip through their fingers as Team Acrylic passes the finish line at 250 points. The score limit reached, and the first map of Rewind is going to go in their favor.
I mean, that's just pretty stuff right there. And you kind of heard me talking in the background. Like, I was like, hey, watch Niam here. All he had to do was rotate over towards that point, get that last double kill. It sets the game up, finishes it, completes him off. You'll see Rupert here. I mean, it's just play of the game. But again, consolation kills and a consolation kill cam. for the side of this CABAL Gaming roster. Again, not close in map 1. That was about as big as a gap as you would expect. I thought it'd be a lot closer. Sorry for leading you in the wrong direction. I led Strace. Maybe it was just for the storyline purposes, but no, I do feel like this was not CABAL Gaming's map. Thrown in a blender from the jump. This is a very competent team Acrylic that you're seeing right here. Arcity is leading the way when it comes to veteranship, but again, you know, there's other players that might overshadow him from time to time. And as we've seen in his career, maybe not in the CDL, but specifically when he's been playing in challengers, you know, there's a lot of talented players down in the pool. There's only 60 spots that you're fighting for within the CDL. Or sorry, 48 spots that you're fighting with in the CDL. It's not easy to get up there. We've seen plenty of people, you know, either have to take a step back from competing in professional Call of Duty or trying to make their names known. I think that, you know, somebody who just kind of, you know, put sticks up this year. You look to Tyler Noisy, somebody that I've watched for years and has been a staple in Call of Duty, at least at the challengers level for years at this point. You know, kind of had to hang it up. It was, you know, last year he was like, hey, if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. All good. Another person that really isn't pushing as hard as he used to be. You have Rory or a Cruzy, some might know him a little bit better as. And then Clayster hanging it up, Accuracy hanging it up after this year. Like, there's a new generation of COD that has been at the ready for so long at this point. They don't always get put into the best situations when they step up to that CDL level, but there's so many players that are ready to make that next jump. And I think this year we're going to see a lot more of that. This feels kind of like a year where almost we feel like it's not as kind of noticeable as a difference and as sharp of a jump as we saw when jetpacks entered the scene, and there was a big learning curve that shifted a lot of the meta of who was at the top away. But again, the movement is strong enough to be able to allow new players to make a name for themselves. There's going to be a lot of movement upwards and down this year from the CDL level and challengers specifically. So I'm excited for the year as a whole, but again, I realize I'm not talking about map 1 all that much. There's not a lot to talk about. Okay, let's be candid. There's not a lot to talk about from that map 1. Acrylic stomped them. It's it. It's over.
I mean, yeah, that is the case, and I completely agree here. I'm hoping that when we get back onto the same map, but under the conditions of search and destroy, maybe the slower pacing of it, the more strategic approach than just kind of rushing with your team and taking out some of these brawls is going to be good. You may also have seen like where some of the strong points are for the individual players, like angles. Maybe like you said, I think there was a double car kill, for example. So you know to stay away from those points, because even though this game just came out recently, clearly Team Acrylic knows their way around it here. But we are starting off here. CABAL Gaming gonna be on the offensive here, heading towards the targets. We'll see what the repositioning looks like, and it looks like it's just going to be maybe an all-out A brawl here for this first round.
First shot's in. Not going to be the one to open it up for Team Acrylic. Backs off wisely. KB there for a nice trade. Slides into the middle of the map. Escapes. So 3 versus 2. Team Acrylic with the numbers on top. Looks back outside the window. Cootie wins a crucial 1 versus 1. So now this forces a 2 versus 2 as we're outside on the map. Arcity's looking at long ranges, trying to find somebody up. Dak there with them, trying to double this out towards the opposite side of the map. It's a good wise wrap back from CABAL Gaming. Full map control for Team Acrylic right now. It's a lay and wait moment with 50 seconds left in the round.
Yeah, they're going to have to make a move, resetting towards their spawn. We'd be waiting for Team Acrylic to slip up, but they're actually going to scale past the point, and they do, I think, make that slip up. Doc chipped off a little bit here, trying to figure out if they are, in fact, going to be headed towards this A site. But it looks like they've realized that that's where these players are headed. On the opposite side of the building, they're headed towards B. They might meet each other here with 25 seconds-ish. And the counting is going to be Doc having to defend here. And they're just going to cut their losses. They want to keep the 2v2 here and play for that plant denial, play for that retake. We'll see if it works out in their favor.
It's going to go down. I mean, it's an AR at range for Dak. You don't want to chow that with a submachine gun. Varsity stuck in a corner. Nate going to be there. He wraps all the way back off, but Dak from behind is able to slip and find one. KB last alive. 1 versus 2. Hops the wall. Gets himself a better position here. Might be able to flank the wrap that's coming in from Team Acrylic. Dak's going to look back behind him, though, for just a moment. One's going to hop on it. Dak's still looking. KB ready for the gunfight. He's able to win it with the pistol. Arcity's here, ready for the second kill. But now it all comes down. We push outside the door. Arcity's gets the better timing on the back bed of the truck. And with plenty of time to spare, Team Acrylic make it easy. A 3 versus 2 converted into a round win. 1-0 up inside of the search.
And a great attempt there with that 1v2 from KB. I like to discipline after finding the initial frag. You retuck, you realize they're not going to stick that defuse all the way through. And unfortunately, just the pressure mentality of knowing time was against you with 20 seconds left. This is great from Arcity's again to push through and just challenge KB where they had been coming from prior. So again, great push and pull, I think, to set themselves up onto that B side as we head to the side swap where it's going to be Team Acrylic now on the offensive. But again, Just great closeout, I think. And you talked about those opening kills as well. The trades really clean back and forth when they were initially contesting the A site. So I like how the rounds have developed so far with that push and pull. A lot, you know, more even, I think, than what we saw over on Hardpoint.
Middle map push. CABAL Gaming infest that site. Defense so strong here on this map, especially when you're able to play it like this. If you wrap the bomb all the way around that south side over to the opposite site, makes it a little bit easier. But as they open up the door, Cody's going to be able to pop for the first blood here in the round. Great start for CABAL Gaming in a round that feels a bit necessary after how the first map went. Russia beat down onto Merc will now make things a bit easier for them even further. Mercules left alive in the 1 versus 4. This might just be a chalk it up moment. We've seen Crazy so far here in the game. If he's able to pull this one off, give him a smooch.
Yeah, taking some cover. Realizing they just have to isolate these fights and being out in the open is not how you're going to do that. They are going to be granted the 1v1 against CoD. Now, as a result, it's 1v3, but the trade is going to follow suit here right out the gate here. So we are going to get now a quick tie up, the 1-to-1. And like I said, these maps just came out, but I think a big thing in Valorant, right, is if maps are sided towards the offensive or the defensive. Have we kind of seen that here on Rewind yet necessarily? Maybe that this is a defensive-sided kind of affair, Corn?
I mean, realistically, a lot of the times when you see new maps come out, offensive teams have to play a bit more passive. You know, the times you're going to see them get aggressive, it's going to be either a 3 or 4 man hit out towards a bomb site. The maps have been out for, I would say, even though it's only been a week, they've been out long enough for people to get good practice. These maps don't take too long to finish. A lot of the practice has been through Hardpoints, but the opening tournaments with Search and Destroy, they've played these maps a bit. You kind of get a feel for the timings, especially when you get into the custom games. But with Coody and Narcity's being able to trade back and forth, it's a 2-1 that goes the way of CABAL Gaming, now a 3-1. I mean, it makes it so much easier to navigate the map. But again, to your point, yes, it's a bit easier on the defense when it starts going in the early moments of maps when they come into the Call of Duty scene.
Well, might not be the case here. Only 1 player remaining. Again, it's going to be Merc here. And Cody's been insane on the opening bloods. They got one last round. They got one this round here. While you're going to get the plant down, it's still going to be the 1v2 here. Now, Merc, having to make your way in.
Yo, stick it.
A ninja?
Stick it.
Go for the ninja defuse?
Nah,
they spotted him, yeah. Just gonna go for the wall jump, try to figure out where the other players hide. Now they have confirmation on the position of KB here. But Rupert is nowhere to be found here, right? In the back lines, not taking any chances here of giving this 1v2 away. Oh.
He turns back around, though. Semtech's gonna blow up. Shots below the car, good enough. Headshot in. 17 seconds left. If you're in this moment, Rupert just needs to check, get away. That's it. That's all you need to do. Back up. Don't Doug Sensor Martin it. Don't Doug Sensor Martin it. Okay, we're good. Okay, gets to the front of the end of the track, is able to make it stick. I got close there for a second. If that would have been, you know, the flashback in shades of Fortress Search and Destroy from MW2, I probably would have gotten up and walked away for a moment, said a little prayer for Rupert as we went into the next round. But 2-1 up we stand at the moment. CABAL Gaming doing a nice job here. The Search and Destroy is where I felt like they would have the most success as a team being able to play together, especially in the beginning of the year. Search and Destroy, a lot easier to play with players that you're more familiar with. It's just that comfortability of knowing those routes, what they're going to hit out, and the timings that your teammates like to hit.
Yeah, I mean, just the speed of like information, how fast it changes in Hardpoint compared to Search and Destroy here, especially. I can see that being the case. But Merc looking like they would be the first up to bat here in a hot seat position. And actually going to be Rupert from behind, a 2-piece on the round before finally getting traded out by Merc, but the damage is done. It's going to be the 2v3 now, favoring CABAL Gaming. Realizing they have to head back to these sites, figure out where these players might be slipping through for Team Acrylic. One has slipped through. KB. Oh,
that timing!
Oh, yeah. Very clean as CABAL Gaming flipped the momentum out of Hardpoint here, leading 3-1 so far.
Beautiful little snap. I mean, you just get that exit information that he's sliding out through the door there. Dak with the SMG up against an AR up close look. We've already had 2 ARs GA'd throughout the year. No subs are gone yet. It's one of those things where it's, you know, it feels like an AR's game a lot of the time. It's again, back to the start. New Call of Duty comes out. Submachine guns have to figure out their way around the map. ARs start getting banned left and right. Subs are powerful in this game, don't get me wrong. But regardless, we go back to another round. 3-1 up is CABAL Gaming, their first 2-stretch lead inside of the search so far. This Team Acrylic look to get infested inside of both bomb sites at the moment. The A site, not really where CABAL Gaming want to find themselves at the moment. They're looking to try and stretch things out towards the B, southeast portion of the map, where the first gunfight's going to come through. That cops up, gets some good timing. Rupert falls. First blood goes to Team Acrylic, something they needed desperately.
Yeah, Cootie. Bomb in hand here. Still trying to prod onto this A site, but they have not dealt with Neum here. Still, they look like they've realized where that bomb is. The challenge comes through, but the frag does not. And finally, a little bit of leniency here towards CABAL Gaming, making it a 2v3 now, feasibility. And again, this is what we saw from CABAL Gaming in the first round, right? This reset, head back towards spawn, gain your grounds, try and pick off some of these external players like Merc, who's trying to peek for information here over towards the outer edges of the map, but nobody is giving here, and you are running out of time. 30-second sub here. Finally, a frag should have been found, and it is, but the risk, the trade, CoD now in the 1v2.
Double from the side. You have the bomb. You have the site to work with. Information given, but they have to collapse back here on the site in just a moment.
Oh, yep.
CoD will back off. Tries to find any way he can. He just took too long to get this bomb down, so now they're going to be able to get a free kill on it. Arcades will hop around the corner, say goodnight to him. Acrylic will get themselves back another round. So 1-round buffer still for CABAL Gaming, but again, that's just an indecisive moment where you have to be able to just make that split second and go, okay, hey, look, I need to get this down, give myself a chance. It doesn't matter where they are. The bomb has to go down. You're not going to, in most situations, you're not going to look for the 1v2 there whatsoever. You're going to play for that plant. And unfortunately, again, it's just that split-second decision that doesn't get made that forces him to overthink, and he doesn't get it down in time.
Yeah, no, it's definitely a big gamble, right? Like, if you did have an overextension from a Team Acrylic member, then you'd get your 1v1 if you can get back this site in time, but fortunately it does not pan out that way. Like you mentioned prior, Team Acrylic just the hardened veteran squad. They're not going to give you those sort of opportunities here. But speaking of opportunities, like you said, 1 round now separating these 2 squads here. Quick work, quick gamble stack here onto the A site, and as a result, they might have left the outer edges of the maps unchecked. A little bit of a sightline for Thresh here, but they're still going to just kind of let them occupy this B site for now.
And that's the 50-50. You know, you take a shot, you play the north side of the map, you think that they're going to try and attack the A side here. They go back to the B site. Now you have to play all the way from the north side, trying to get back down. The power positions are there. Dak snaps for 1, make it 2. CoD, the last one there as it gets traded out. So Arcades falls 1 versus 3 now for KB as he tries to find a second player to go ahead and tuck it through. I mean, he just has so many bodies over there. They're going to be able to fly in and out. Another flank was coming around the corner. So as soon as they go down 2 rounds, they tie things up at 3 apiece. We're all even here on Rewind.
They went from kind of this spread approach in the defense to gamble stack in the site. It worked out in their favor here. And again, we kind of talked about how the first bloods have been really monumental in this series. The first few rounds that CABAL was able to get, right? They were able to get those first bloods from CoD. And now that kind of has been flipped against them, where Team Acrylic's getting these really nice openings, I think they found out what has started working for them in that regard as well. So I want to see that from CABAL Gaming here as well, like searching for the pick, finding these isolated players, kind of like was gonna say, player they're staring down here, but unfortunately, both gonna tuck away, just gonna take the exchange of damage and then cut their losses.
Slow and steady. Diner watched by Arcades. Lone man on an island with the AR in his hand. Rupert playing up close. Trying to sneak his way up just a touch. All you're doing is trying to find some information here. Maybe bait somebody out. If you can get a kill for it, you're feeling great. You might fancy a trade here for the offensive team trying to push their way through. A-site clearly the point where they want to get to. Semtech's going to force one to back all the way off, but Arcades has watched the cross all the way through. He knows very well where these players are going to be. He needs to be careful, though, because he's still got a player playing back. Thresh could spoil the Acrylic flank that Arcades is trying to set up for himself. And as I say that, of course, he's forced to back off 83 HP for himself. Bomb site occupied. Everybody from the defense forced out. Still 4v4 with 45 left.
This is the latest we've had both sides alive, and as a result, Arcades is going to change that. Talked about it, kind of that regroup back towards their side of the map here. Didn't take the fight up against Thresh, and now it's giving them the advantage here. CoD also getting overwhelmed here as they still are trying to fight towards these sites, and it's just not going their way. Every player falling, and CoD again left to the clutch that they cannot close out. Team Acrylic have now flipped the script, taken the lead back here in the first search and destroy round on Rewind. Map number 2 of this best of 5. And the question is, are they going to keep this momentum up and kind of reverse sweep them on the second map?
I mean, it's adaptability, right? So, yeah. I mean, when you looked at this Acrylic roster, you have guys who, you know, can watch a search and destroy game unfold and then be able to say, okay, well, they keep doing this, or this is, you know, a tendency that we're seeing. Let's try to hard counter that. So even them just on the defense to say, hey, we've been giving them a lot of face. We've been pushing up the map hard. Let's just play a couple bait angles. Let's jiggle peek. Let's back off and force them to come to us. What do? They play that perfectly. Sure, first blood goes one way. Acrylic is able to trade that out. Arcades and Rupert go tag for tag here as Rupert tries to find another one outside of the doorway. Neither one wants to chow out just yet. Dak will force off the back end of a stun grenade that flies through. Trophy and a frag grenade able to use, but it's everybody trying to double back up for Team Acrylic. Inside held down for the time being. Bomb left on an island. They're going to need to collect it.
And I'm not sure if Rupert has eyes on it here, but like you mentioned, the nades really good at flushing them out. But now it's the time for Team Acrylic to reclaim that space, reclaim the bomb. And it looks like we're going to see Rupert in hot water here in a quick second. The timing is good. They get a free angle on Arcades, but unfortunately they cannot finish the job. And as a result, they get out unscathed. Still, the 2v3 here favoring CABAL. Spray through the car. Gonna go the way of Team Acrylic as they even things back to a 2-on-2 with 30 seconds left.
Oh, could have been bad timing. I don't know if they saw Mercury slip inside. I don't think they did. So Rupert's going to push his way forward. The bomb is in the A site at the moment. And you see all the way out on an island. You see Dak just trying to play. Rupert's going to be able to get the snap. 20 seconds left. Bomb not down. Now he has to force the issue back up the map. Has an RCXC to work with. As Dak looks to slide his way forward. First gunfight over towards the left is going to get spotted out. 11 seconds left. Has to go for the plant here. And a great wrap that comes around the right-hand side. Dak on 5 in a row. Doesn't want to lose that streak just yet. But Rupert played the time perfectly. Going to back all the way off. Has nothing that he needs to do here. We're tied back up at 4-4. CABAL Gaming are going to be able to take another round.
And that one's really poetic as well, right? Lack of information cost CABAL a game where they couldn't get the bomb planted, and now the same has come true for Team Acrylic in that 1v1, like you mentioned, playing down time, not taking any gambles that they didn't have to because they realized that lead they established had slipped. We're tied back for a piece side swap again, where it is going to be Team Acrylic here on the defensive. And again, we saw they met each other head for head, blow for blow on that A side. Great kind of turf battle that occurred there. And I'm curious if we're going to see a similar occurrence here, but it looks like Team Acrylic playing a little bit more passively here, like kind of giving them respecting that A-side space, playing outside the map. Maybe Arcades is holding down the long sight line for that kind of information on when they enter in to fast forward. But aside from that, let's see if they can get it through the door, through the window.
A lot of this has just been a 3-1 split on defense. Make sure nobody can get on the offensive side through that north side for free. You don't want to flank to come through in the early rounds and just give CABAL Gaming the opportunity to have an early 4v3. You hear that RC car getting information on the ground, trying to roam its way around. Shots blows it up. Nobody tagged up for it. Rupert inside looking for the frontward push. Few players trying to get their way in, but it looks like this bomb should go down here in just a moment, and it will. 45 seconds will be the timer here in just a moment.
Yeah, and you pointed out a few rounds ago, right? This Thresh and Arcades exchange that consistently happens with that 3-1 split, and they finally are going to duke it out, and Arcades coming out on top this time. They're not going to disrupt that flank, and now the players are slowly getting surrounded, but they're holding down the site, holding their grounds. Now that extra frag comes in. Doc, really good fight in. Make things a 2v2. Arcades as well. And CoD left in the 1v2. 20 seconds left. They just need to survive for 13. Keep these players off the defuse. Very doable.
He's behind them. Flank opportunity. Doesn't spot him out over towards the right. Might see the head of one. Nobody on the bomb just yet. 12 seconds into bad timing for Mercules as he flies around the opposite aisle. It was a Friday shopper on a blockbuster night, not able to get it done. 5 seconds of the defuse will come through just in the nick of time. But Team Acrylic in a round that looked like it could be good for CABAL to send it to match point will rewrite the books. They'll put themselves up 5-4, 1 round away from being able to take a 2-0 lead in the series.
And this is that kind of close affair that you were hoping to get. I think when you set the storylines, talked about the similar experiences across these two rosters. And I'm hoping that we get to go the distance here, that CABAL is going to be able to get this defensive round across the line. You said it right. We thought the rewind was a slightly defensive sided here. Let's see if that's going to be enough to get them to that 5-5, or if Team Acrylic is going to go 2 up in this best of 5. Really important round here. Talked about this 3-1 split. It's going to unfold again, and we're probably again going to get this Thresh Arcades duel. All right.
Would love to see it. Shots are going to be out. Arcades peaked off, so I mean they're going to give the respect there to CABAL Gaming. Don't want to lose an early life here towards the side of the map that you're not sending any pressure to, which kind of be a waste at this point. So body's still up for both sides. 4-4 we go. 30 seconds have about ticked off the clock. Inside the mid-map building in P1 is where they look to fight and maybe to put the bomb down. There's CABAL Gaming on the backstretch. Nothing out of the ordinary here in this round so far. If we do get to around 11, look for a team to maybe make a sporadic play. I think RCD spotted Thresh out towards that left side. Doesn't want to give it away, but Dak opens up with the first blood onto CoD. There's a flank starting to formulate on the left side street. They're going to get good timing. If you are the side of CABAL Gaming, you're looking for the second one that might be there as well. It's 2 kills that go through. Mercules a double. 2 versus 2. Now a 1 versus 2. Niam the last one alive. He had a wonderful map 1 hardpoint. Can he do something once again? First kill. Good. Looks for the second one. It's a chase down. 30 seconds left in the round. Thresh is looking for the 1v1.
All right. Bomb acquired. We'll see if they make a similar mistake. Not going for the plant when they have the opportunity here. They're not going to go searching, just going to go for it here. And I like the respect being shown by Thresh as well, right? For the detonation, then you know exactly what site to go towards here. And we might just get the head on head here. Respect being shown. Concern, where are they going to peek from? The 50-50 gamble not being taken here. They're in such a vulnerable spot.
It's going to be a tough one to win. If you are Thresh coming off the back end, wall hop might have got spotted out there by Niam, and I think he did. Thresh will jump over towards the left side. AR versus SMG. Thresh good shots over the top. In for one. Destroys the trophy system. Niam gets good, and it's tags that come through. Team Acrylic close down to the end, but the 1 versus 2 for Niam. Call him Wyam. I'm a man of the people. Look, I saw you type in the chat. I'm a man of the people. That's why I'm right there. 6-4 they go. Team Acrylic takes it over. The 2-0 lead. And this might be the end of the series already. I hate to spell despair already, but the way the first hard point went, it did not look good. We'll go to Protocol here for map 3. Maybe the LATAM Phenoms will be able to have a better fare on a map that plays like a Warzone map.
Yeah, and we had like some players I think step up. Rupert, I think CoD as well. Like, the first few rounds, they would have some high impact first bloods as well to get them out the gate, to get that strong opening. And we talk about how this could close out a little bit earlier than we anticipate here with that dominant hard point performance from Rewind in the back of the brain here for CABAL Gaming. So when we get to a map like Protocol that you mentioned, I've seen how open it is. I got to look at the game on hardpoint a few, I think it was 2 series ago as well when it was Keg and their co-caster on the mic. Do you think that the I guess untraditional design of this map is going to kind of help CABAL then in this aspect, or do you think it is just going to be this quick 3-0 for Team Acrylic?
I mean, look, it's hard to say because when we talk about an early game, there's a lot of practice that goes into each individual map. And I feel like in the Search and Destroy, when you're able to slow the game down, it felt a little bit more concise for what CABAL wanted to do. So again, it really does come down to how much that you can tailor the map to your play style. The faster the gameplay, Team Acrylic have this one by a landslide, and I don't think it's particularly close. If you get into a Protocol, though, and you're able to get the map at least feeling like it's flushed out, it's a bit easier to read in terms of where spawns are. There's not a big mess where there's a big open lane to the north side, and then you're kind of playing, in a weird spot in the middle of the map. You can get shifty on Rewind in the hard points. I don't want to compare it to El Asilo specifically, because I don't think it plays necessarily like El Asilo, but in the way that you're able to move around the map without being seen, that's kind of where my mind goes when I think about a map like Protocol. So now that we see this map a map like Rewind, now that we see the Protocol pop in, it's still a smaller map. There's still ways that you can get around the map without being seen. A lot of weird routes that you can take by the underside near the water. However, again, this map allows you to play just that bit more, I don't want to say passive, but defensive minded, to where you can slow the game down and just make sure everything that you're seeing is in front of you opposed to the sides and behind.
No, for sure. And I love the verticality of this map, right? That really wasn't there as well. And I mean, look at this, just trying to get a better spawn point here perhaps, and looks like we might be getting actually a little bit of a restart here so we get to load back in. But I'm glad that you put it out, because you mentioned, right, that you felt like the fast-paced nature of hardpoint is what gives Team Acrylic that edge when they have this pure experience behind them. But I think, again, if we can see just the map design allow CABAL to slow things down here. And I do like something else to mention is I know obviously our last map of Rewind, like you said, had that traditional kind of 5 hardpoints. There's 4 here, but they're so closely grouped, it feels like, compared, right, to what they were like on Rewind. How does that kind of affect, you think, like the timings of how long these teams are going to stick around on these hard points? Because I think that was something else that CABAL did. They would cut their losses, let Team Acrylic get an advantage, and then set up for the next transition. And I think they kind of over-respected Team Acrylic in that regard last time.
I think really what it comes down to, I mean, you talk hard points, 20-25 seconds is when you should be looking over towards the next hard point. So like CABAL, they just kept fighting from the back foot the whole match, right? They had to attack the old hill. They had to attack the scrap time. That was the only time they were able to get. When they rotated against Team Acrylic, again, the map felt so small to them that they weren't able to watch every lane that they needed to. And they were doubling up on ways that Team Acrylic weren't pushing from. They weren't aware of the timing on a hit that was going to come through for where the players were coming from. And one issue that could be a comms issue. I don't think it's a comms issue. I don't feel like it's a comms issue, but again, call outs in an early game can be a little bit jarring for some people, especially if you're not playing consistently with that team. Number 2, it's all going to be about, the split-second decision-making that you're capable to be able to have, right? If you're looking at the mini-map, you see, okay, hey, I'm like, just for example, I'm Thresh. I see Rupert next to me. Hey, we're looking at the same angle here. Maybe you pick up that second lane, or you don't expect him to turn away and pick up that second lane, so you can keep watching the front, and then you both watch the same thing. It's little things like that. Those minute little details that you don't think about a lot that can make a difference in a game. That's where Acrylic has them beat right now. They're flying through the map. They're playing with a faster pace. They're being able to take advantage of the small mishaps that CABAL Gaming have, and that's what comes with the veteranship and being able to play at that CDL and top challengers level that CABAL Gaming do have, just not to the same the repetitive aspect that Team Acrylic have.
Oh, for sure. Well, we are trying to get loaded back into the game here. It is make or break for CABAL Gaming to learn from their mistakes over on the rewind here. And again, I feel like just like I'm learning, right? Because I'm from the Valorant universe, so Search and Destroy was definitely a lot more my speed. But for Hardpoint, then, right? Like, you talked about like coordination and communication being of the utmost importance. Like, what is like the stock standard kind of strategy you go to out the gate when a game starts?
Could you repeat that one more time? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I was asking for clarification because look, I've seen so many people say it's Neum, it's Niam.
Is it Neum?
I'm trying to find the difference between the two.
Neum.
Somebody let me know. I was about to type it in chat, so sorry. Go ahead and rephrase that for me one time. I apologize.
No, you're good. You're good. Like I said, Search and Destroy makes very much sense to me, right? It's, you know, plant, defend, it's offense and defense. A Hardpoint is a little bit, I feel like, more nuanced because there are a lot of approaches. And you talked about at the micro level, like what that communication, what repositioning looks like when you're trying to fight these different angles. But like, what is a stock standard to kind of go to when a game starts for Hardpoint? Like, when you obviously you're going to know where that first one's going to be, but like, do you split off? Do you try and just form the site together? Do you set up like kind of across the map to prepare for that second rotation point? Or
I mean, look, so Hardpoint is a game that progressively changes throughout the map. So like, you can have your set breaks, you can have your opening routes that you're going to take, you can get to those positions first, but a lot of it, one, is if you're on bad side spawns, you need to flip out for good side spawns. If you're on the side that's good spawns, you don't want to flip out for bad spawns. That one's like kind of like, you know, the cut and dry stuff at the beginning of the game. But after that, one route can influence spawns. One 2-piece, one 3-piece, even one kill can influence the spawn if you lose it on a rotation at 25 seconds. So like, there's so many variables that play into how a Hardpoint can unfold that it's almost impossible to have like a game set strategy for them. Realistically speaking, it's making sure your bases are covered, keeping track of who you've killed on the map, and that's something you'll see at like the top level a lot of the times is like, hey, we're still looking for X player, hey, we're still looking for Y player. We need to be able to make sure that we take them out in that area. That way that we know that what we're looking at is in front of us. And that's kind of what I was saying beforehand when we're talking about that rewind map. CABAL Gaming didn't ever have that moment where they could say, hey, this is what's in front of us. It was always to the sides and behind them, and they were getting hit off every single time. That's why they got broken on those early rotations when they were the first team there. That's why they were only fighting for scrap time. Yeah, because once Acrylic got set up, it was GG's.
No, for sure, which I think is for me why I'm going to be looking towards this early game, this early setup, because that is where Team Acrylic got out off to the races really, really quick here. And again,
we're back.
Looks like we're having some more extended tech issues. It's a draw, guys. We're going to next map. No, I'm joking. But aside from that then, right, like, yeah, we talked about how it felt like, again, CABAL Gaming was playing for when the Hardpoint was going to move. They weren't playing for these early contests because you said Team Acrylic was getting themselves set up very established. So if you're CABAL Gaming, what can you do to disrupt that sort of setup out the gate?
Look, it comes down to momentum. It comes down to winning your ones. That at the most fundamental level in Call of Duty, all you can do to disrupt another team is either play faster or slower than they're expecting, match their pace, or play at a different pace that disrupts them. And finding that can be tricky. You have 2 maps to really do that. If you go down 0-2 in that period of time, GG's. If you look for the reverse sweep, maybe you get something going in the map 3, which is still possible here for CABAL Gaming. They played them a lot closer in that map 2, but that's what you expect in a Search and Destroy. You just gotta win your ones. It's that simple. You gotta trade effectively. You gotta calm effectively. And the things like that. So, look, I'll be honest. This is taking a little bit to get into the match. So while we're sitting here just having a little chin wiggle, I want to say if you guys want to go ahead and see us back here on Championship Sunday tomorrow for the cast-off grand finale and the first launch tournament grand finals and Championship Sunday, you can go ahead and vote for us at that link down below. It'll also be posted inside of the chat. I know it's great experience, to start off the game for everybody involved here. There's some great and talented people on the desk that we've been sharing it with all weekend. But hey, look, me, Zobi, look, she was calling us Kobe before the game started. I kind of like it. Yeah. That's that good beef. That's an old man, big Kobe. Hey, rest in peace to the boy. But we're going to take the break. We'll be right back. After we get back, we'll go into map 3. We'll have the protocol hardpoint, hopefully for you, and maybe CABAL Gaming can make this an interesting series.
And welcome back to the Call of Duty Black Ops 6 launch here in Columbus, Ohio. We are currently 2-up favoring Team Acrylic here into map number 3 on Protocol Hardpoint. We're off to the races. Team Acrylic is already in control here yet again, Corn.
It's looking good, looking spicy, but again, all I wanted to see from CABAL Gaming was settle down, settle in, allow yourselves to get a few kills early in the game, get some map position, maybe a power position or two, hop in the windows, allow yourselves to get some good angles across the map, and then set yourselves up for success on early rotations. That's what we haven't been able to see so far. Candidly, we've only played one hardpoint, but regardless, we'll look for the P2 set, which is a hop, skip, and jump across the map from this point at the moment. Dak will go on a nice little 3-piece right there, spray everybody down. Team Acrylic, sure, you're fighting for the last 10 seconds, but realistically, that's all you need at this stage in the game. We're fighting for P2, and you can see KB already on the rotation to set up.
Yep, and that's what I did like from CABAL in that first hardpoint. They're very proactive. They get to these sites before it is declared, before point collection can begin. And while they got there, this time it didn't really quite work out because Neum was there to defend, to make these players reset and respawn. So again, nobody here really on the collection. Is still kind of now a stalemate, a lot slower than the first time we had this, and I think again it comes down to how Rewind was so kind of non-vertical versus this one. You post up the windows, you deny this hard point, and as I say that, Team Acrylic finally is going to get full control, all 4 players, and you realize now that you can't really set up outward angles on this map because you can get pieced off so easily here, like we're seeing CABAL do one after another as they're going to now reclaim the hard point and start closing up this gap yet again.
And that's what I love right there. A nice route that comes in from the back end. You allow Rupert to pop a double. You have a few players playing from the front. Your ARs lock things down. Sure, it's for the back 30, but that's time that you would have otherwise not had. And for CABAL Gaming, that wasn't really playing the scrap end of time. That was making sure you had full position on that south side. Now you can move back over towards that northwest corridor. You have 4 players here. You're ready for the challenges forward. You have the high ground. Dak's going to have to play from the low end. It's going to be a 3 versus 4 on the push back through. Good trade in from Rupert. It's a 2-1 that goes the way of Team Acrylic. You look out towards the front door. Team Acrylic are on the point for how long. It's another push that's going to come through here as Cowdy opens the door up for his team that's flanking from the opposite end.
Yeah, and like this elevated position is good for defending if you're Thresh, but then once you lose control and these players tuck into unoptimal angles, it's so hard to fight back in and costs you so much time and potentially the lead as Team Acrylic continues to hold on to this hard point. You might just have to depend on hopefully the reposition here, which is good. And now we get a more, I think, more traditional hardpoint fight site here. Let's see, so many angles to clear, so many angles to watch here as CABAL finally to get back control. And again, we're kind of neck and neck this go around.
Your first 4 down that you've had pretty much every hardpoint series so far. So for CABAL Gaming, you're feeling great after that. Mercury spotted out on the back end. We'll get 1 for his dirty work. 5 seconds and it's out. So realistically, nobody going to touch for the time here. But as soon as it's a 4 down for CABAL Gaming, Team Acrylic bounce back on the rotation. Are able to get it. 3-point game here. Tons of time to work with. But on a new rotation over at P4, we'll find ourselves looking around from a northward push from CABAL Gaming as they send their push south.
And again, it feels like at this point, CABAL is just trying to low-key these players, take them off the site, but really, at this point, the respawns, it's just consistency here again from Team Acrylic. You've let them get set up. It's going to be so hard to dislodge them from these positions. This hard point might be the make or break difference here with Team Acrylic pulling ahead, right? They've almost gotten full control over this hard point for the entire minute as we reach the halfway mark. And finally, we get some close in here, and they are finally going to capture back control for the latter half, the last third of this hard point here. And at this point, if you're Team Acrylic, I think you start setting up for the next one, right? Like, you're going to still maintain a lead. And then you can just continue racking up points.
I was gonna say, I mean, we're going back over to P2, so I mean,
yeah,
again,
exactly.
it's a very close hard point. Excuse me, P1. So I mean, it's a very close hard point away. If you are Arcides, this top positioning that you have inside of the window is massive, but I mean, you already have 8 across the map. You got Mercules, who's up top in the opposite window. Cody's going to be able to find that, so at least you get your side safe, but Dak is there once again just to have some fun. And close to a snake there, but we'll allow it for a moment. Cody backs off over towards the rope side. Dak pushes forward, and it's the AR up close for Cody that survives him at 9 HP. So, again, the lead, it was close. We got over towards P4. Things started to open up again, and now Acrylic is kind of walking away with it. The AR gameplay from this Team Acrylic roster feels leaps and bounds better. The SMG's up close, sure, you can get the work done, but CABAL Gaming have not had an answer, at least in the end of the first rotation and into the second set.
Yeah, no, for sure. This right building off of P1 has been a hot point for contention. But once they get control over that building, it takes so much time away from the hard point. And then you just see, like, as soon as they know where the position is, it's 2 players from Team Acrylic double teaming the players of CABAL Gaming. So a lack of coordination and just effective communication likely from Team Acrylic here, allowing them to pull ahead. And as this hard point's going to expire, we are going to move back across the map. So a little bit of a breathing period here for CABAL Gaming. But how long is it going to last? How long are they going to go uncontested? And is it enough to close this gap? The answer seems to be no. But now they've re-rotated back. They've gotten control back here, and it's kind of a longer period. This might be closer than we think. Okay.
Going for a full 60. You got 2 players middle map looking over. High lows them. He's forced to back all the way off. Thresh now on the back end. Rupert looks for a double, and he's able to make it stick. Another player over towards that left-hand side, and it's the last one there. You're looking for a 4 down as Niam's the last one here. Gap starting to close in rapidly at this point. Spawns pretty far across the map, so it's going to be quite the stretch to get back over here. Good challenge out there from Alec, but he gets traded instantaneously. It's only going to be 2 players here, so this should be a good last 20 seconds for CABAL Gaming. They get over the 100-point mark for the first time in a hard point so far. Much closer than we saw in that rewind. Could have been jitters. I really think it just comes down to a map feel. They feel a bit better here on Protocol.
No, for sure. Thresh, this high ground has been so clean. KB as well has been really good at dislodging the positions that Team Acrylic wants to play for, and Rupert, while they have been maybe sub-statistic-wise, and then the impact they had in that hard point was insane, and now KB coming out hot as well here, trying to set themselves up for success on this newly generated hard point. But again, Team Acrylic contesting the site, the first there here, and it is a solo player, so they're just trying to bob and weave, play survival here before these players get over, because they're getting maximum points here before finally getting eliminated here. And CABAL will claim back the control.
I love that, though. I mean, if you're Cody, QD, the only thing you needed to do there was just play your life, again, as you mentioned, so you allow your team to get across the map, give them an opportunity to break into the bottom side of that hill, and force gunfights to be from omnidirectional opportunities. So it doesn't work out in their favor. Sure, 40 points go the way of Team Acrylic with a few contestants in here and there. But for the back 20 of time, I'd love to see CABAL Gaming fight for this, just because that next hard point's going to be lowered down. You're going to start to get the P4 and then back to that P1 rotation. You're going to be playing the middle of the map. Get some time here as you can, and then play contest heavy for the next hill. You've already got player 4 there for the next rotation. Cootie is ready. It's going to be a Team Acrylic push. They've got more players and more bodies there ready for the taking.
And again, as I mentioned here on Protocol, right, these hard points are so close to each other that if you have control over that previous point, you're going to have control over this next one when these rotations come through. And it is unfortunate because it favors Team Acrylic so much, because they just make a small pivot, and again, they set back up on shop. And it's so hard for CABAL to pierce back through. Again, they had advantages on some of these outer hard points, but not these more traditional, more surrounded ones. And this feels like Team Acrylic finally pulling ahead, as it seems like they're going to breach that 200-point mark here, inevitably, especially when Dog is making quick work of the CABAL members.
Oh, man. And the thing is like, I would have loved Thresh to do, just even count down to 3, 2, 1, like a simple 3, 2, 1, jump in the hill, everybody together. He dropped straight down the spiral stairwell, took the gunfight aggressively, didn't wait for the teammates to get there, and all it was Team Acrylic being able to watch each other's backs. That's what I was talking about on the rewind ending. Nobody knows where anybody's coming from, but Team Acrylic, they have the map figured out. They have everybody pretty much within their line of sight, no matter where they are. It's just good, solid team play. It's knowledge of the game and being able to use that veteranship to your advantage. It's almost a 100-point game here once again. 30 seconds from closing it out as Team Acrylic, they look to go up 3-0. I was going to say 3-1. It hasn't even been a close enough series for that. 3-0. Move on to the next round. They're going to be in the winners semifinals after this.
Yeah, Merc getting control of this really quickly out the gate. It feels like the beginning of the end here. Should be a clean 3-0 sweep, unless CABAL can get a string of consistency. But again, you mentioned it, this team knows when to cut their losses, know when to play together to reclaim these hard points. That seems to be the case here, about 10 seconds away as they recapture this site. Merc is the only one there. The respawns are going to come through, but they are defending from afar. And they've given now a little grace period to CABAL, but at this point, I would just move to the next hard point if they can even make it that far. 8 seconds left. If they stay in control here, it's going to end before the next site even gets unlocked. CABAL unable to challenge, and just like that, with 2 seconds before the hot swap, Team Acrylic is going to close out, reach that 250 mark, and reach that 3-0 closeout against CABAL Gaming, and as you mentioned, progress into that winners semifinals.
Look, I led y'all wrong. I said this was going to be a closer series than a lot of people would think. I said CABAL Gaming might even be able to take it. That's my fault. That's on me. Look, I'm a man that can admit when he's wrong, okay? That's on me. That's my fault. But look, in all honesty, I mean, Acrylic from start to finish looked phenomenal. When you put Dak and Arcides on the same roster, you pair Mercules and Neum into the mix. I mean, it's a recipe for success. You put them on LAN, the composure is always going to be there. On the opposite end, CABAL Gaming, they've got a ton of experience when it comes to LAN environments, international travel, and whatnot for them to play in the respective tournaments and in challengers and CCL alike. But there's just moments of time where things don't pan out the way you expect them to. I feel in this situation, we kind of expected Acrylic to be able to take this series. We've got to hype up a storyline. If there's no storyline, there's no stakes here. So Acrylic will take it 3-0. The hard points realistically being the deciding factor. The Search and Destroy kind of was a toss-up, could have went either way. A few 1v1s and 1v2s that went wayward. That might have shaped this series up to be a little bit different, or at least got us to a vault. Hard point didn't pan out. So a 3-0 sweep sends Team Acrylic to the winners semifinals, where I believe they will go up against the winner of actually no, it's gonna be the Speedy White Men, who have already gotten their way through. Ooh, so Team Acrylic versus the Speedy White Men, that's gonna be a fun one. Not sure what the next map on stream is going to be. That might be a match on Sunday, so I don't want to give too much away at that point. But a fun series overall. I mean, realistically, I want to ask for takeaways from this. There wasn't many in my mind that I felt, other than the fact that CABAL Gaming just kind of got stopped. But you know, how are you feeling after that one?
I think, number one, I learned a lot. Like, hardpoint, very, very fast-paced, a little bit more difficult to effectively cast, I'll say. Search and Destroy was more my speed, for sure, and was clearly CABAL Gaming's. I think in Team Acrylic, in my mind, we talked about it, how they had the experience, but I think they kind of have the best of both worlds, right? Especially when you look at that last hardpoint, right? Like, we have the clutch factor of Neum, you know, like you mentioned, some 1v1s going their way to close out that Search and Destroy. Merc is insane, right? They were 29-17 in that last map on the hardpoint, so I think they're kind of that hardpoint victor, and Arcides again kind of being that one solo pillar, like the support as well in both kind of game modes with that experience behind them. It's gonna be a really tough team to beat. I do remember though, I think, who was it? I think it was a player actually from the side of you said it, their name was Speedy Whiteman, though they were looking forward to going up against some of these hardened veterans like Arcides. So I'm curious to see and hopeful to see them, like you said, go up against each other in this upper semifinals, because that's exactly what they asked for in their last interview.
Yeah, I mean, look, it was probably Conwa, I'll be honest. It was probably Conwa. That guy has always been a leech when it comes to be able to step up, take that next challenge. I know he, especially when he was up with the Wichita State boys this last year in the CCL, there was a few things that went wrong, a few matches that didn't go their way, and a few players that weren't able to make it, but they were good throughout the whole year, and it was fun to watch them. But I mean, look, overall in this series, when I look at the bracket, or I looked at the bracket before the weekend started, and I saw Dak and Arcides on the same team with Mercules and Neum, I kind of saw that as the favorite, and I didn't know there would be much of a competition barrier in their way of them being able to walk out of it. I wouldn't say it was free money or that was going to be a free tournament for them, but just kind of seeing the face of Arcides there with Dak. Two players who, you know, rightfully so, have either been in or deserve to be in the CDL. There's not much with it. And again, Neum and Mercules as well, I expect to have big seasons in the Black Ops 6 era. So lots of fun. But I mean, again, Zobi, I mean, this has been I wanted to say a great series. It hasn't really been a great series. It's been a series of Call of Duty of all time. For sure. But not much further than that. Yeah,
I mean, like obviously, like I said, this is my first time casting Call of Duty. I was hoping we would get a 5 mapper, you know, because I feel like that was kind of like the crash course, like the light version of how to cast Call of Duty. So again, if you guys want to see us again, give me a few more reps. You can type, I believe it's !vote in the chat. Obviously, we're part of the caster Black Ops launch tournament cast off. You saw, you know, 3 duos before us. We're going to see 2 more. My friend Shibby, for example, who have worked at that NECC LAN with. They're coming in from, I believe, League of Legends is their primary game as well. I can't wait for them to see the speed change as well between League and Call of Duty. But aside from that, it's been a pleasure. You know, vote Kobe. You know, we're gonna maybe switch some buckets on Championship Sunday if you put us through. God. Yeah, exactly. But aside from that, let's go back to the bracket. We actually didn't get a chance to look at the bracket beforehand. Like you mentioned, we talked about how that was kind of upper quarterfinals, and you talked about how kind of the team to beat is Team Acrylic, right? But then who is your dark horse, do you think, in the event that could beat Team Acrylic or give them a run for their money?
Look, they count them out every time. Look, CCL boys got the passion. And that's all I care about. Look, I'm a man. I love collegiate Call of Duty. Anybody that's watched collegiate Call of Duty, I love it. Okay. And there are a few players that I see that love to play international events or LAN events, whatever it may be, locals, wherever. And those men right there, I look immediately to the people that were playing earlier on stream. You had who was it on there? Slow-Mo. Don't know if you ever heard of him. Slow-Mo, my guy. You got Merc, Priestley.
Ooh, I saw them. They had great impact in their series on stream.
Damon, the man who played 5 seasons in the CCL and became a legend, almost took down top teams. I mean, St. Clair was a team that stayed together. They barely even played challengers as individuals. But when they were playing in the CCL, they were demons. They're Canadian boys. I mean, there's tons of great Canadians in the Call of Duty scene, whether it's at the CDL level or in Challenger, specifically Challenger. I mean, you look to, Diamond Con, Brack, the names, the list keeps going forward. So, I mean, those are just to name a few.
For sure.
But, I mean, look, Canadians are great. Priestley is phenomenal. I would love to see Priestley be able to play on LAN and be able to go toe-to-toe with, Dak and Arcides, because I've seen Dak versus Priestley countless times with Northwood versus a St. Clair's roster. So, yeah, give me that once again. I would love to see that on a championship Sunday. Maybe Priestley can finally beat his demon. Maybe he can. I don't know. It's like a sleep paralysis demon. You're never going to be able to touch it, but maybe on one fateful day you will.
Well, with that, though, you set up your dark horses, and I love me some collegiate programs as well. That's what I'm heavily involved with in Valorant. So you talk about Northwood, you talk about St. Clair. I know them, but we got to get to know Doc from Team Acrylic. Your victors there from the upper quarterfinals. How's it feel to be back on LAN with a new title, a new game, and how do you feel, so far, being pretty much undefeated?
We're playing kickoffs and everything. And by now, we feel like we have a pretty good grasp on all the maps. And it was nice to just be able to get an opportunity to play on local and, see how it feels. And it feels great, to be honest. Really great.
Amazing. All right. Important.
Well, hey, Dak. Look, I've watched you for plenty of years at this point. It's been a pleasure throughout the time. But, just coming off of multiple, winnings from CCL to being able to be at the top end of the challenger scene, going further past this year, I've wanted to see you at the top of the, the name of the list to pick from to get up to the CDL. I know opportunities aren't going to come at you every single day, and it's not really your decision on being able to get up to that level. But when it comes to going into this year, what's the mindset about trying to get up to that top level of town and be one of the 48?
Honestly, it's just you got to make sure you got to give your absolute all in everything you do, and that's the kind of mindset that I'm taking into this year. It's just no matter the match, no matter the scrim, no matter how I'm feeling or whatever, I just got to put everything to the side and give it my absolute all, because like you said, there's just that many limited spots, and I'm going to make sure I get mine. So I got to lock in.
Absolutely. I mean, look, I've always known you to kind of be a vibe guy. You've always had the good energy whenever I've seen you in person and whatnot. So, I mean, that alone speaks about your character. So, I mean, character-wise, I know there's a lot of people that look for that on a lot of teams. Leadership ability as well. Just kind of going into the generalized aspect, though, challengers, talking in that conversation, at least for this year. First few tournaments on the cards. How are we feeling about the Season 1 map pack that might be coming?
Well, map pack? I mean... I don't know. I'm going to hope for something at least, like maybe a raid in there, maybe a standoff or something, but I don't know. These maps definitely aren't the best, but we're making do, and we're definitely figuring them out, so we'll make do no matter what. Even if there's not a map pack, we'll figure it out.
Sure. Toby, any other questions you want to ask?
I mean, no? you definitely, I think, have figured out the maps at least right out the gate so far with your showing this early season. And hats off to you again for that mentality on the esports grind, and we truly appreciate that. I'm new to the Call of Duty scene, so do you have any kind of, I guess, advice for those who are looking to get more involved with the scene, whether it's like following tournaments or even playing more competitively, I guess?
Honestly, just try to grind out like the big tournaments that everyone's going to play. Like find your group of guys that's going to be able to grind and just like try to become the best with them. People that have good mindsets, good attitudes, people that you think are good, and just play all of the tournaments you can. As long as you grind it out with the team, if you're showing out, other good players will pick you up or something, and you'll find your way as long as you got the skill and you go out and prove it.
Amazing. And do you have any last minute shout outs, to your team or who's allowed you to get to this LAN and compete here today?
I mean, shout out my teammates. Obviously, you know them. Alec, Mace, Liam. Love those guys. Mm-hmm. Shout out Acrylic for getting us here. Really appreciate it. Great org. been nothing but hospitality to us ever since we got here. And, shout out family, friends, everyone. And yeah, that's it.
Awesome. Well, hey, Dak, it's been a pleasure being able to talk to you. Good luck for the rest of not only this tournament, but for the year as well. Hopefully, again, we see you at the top of that list of names to pick from, and hopefully we get a big shot for you in the CDL this year. Be awesome to see, so good luck, man.
All right, sweet. Thanks. I appreciate it. Have a good one.
You too, man. All right. Well, Zobi, it's been fun. We only got about, maybe 50 minutes of gameplay that we were able to actually sit down and watch with one another.
We had a very long tech pause to vamp.
Exactly.
It might have been almost even. No, I'm joking.
But look, it was a great time being able to get to work with you. I'm glad that this has gone well for your first Call of Duty event as a caster. Maybe as a watcher, an onlooker, or even just playing the game throughout the years. I'm sure it's been fun to just be in the scene. But now that you've kind of got your toes in the water, how do you feel about going forward with Call of Duty as a title, with the fast pace aspect of it all?
Ooh, it definitely will take some time. Actually, when I started casting Valorant, I talked too fast, and I had to slow myself down a lot and become a lot more paced, because you talk for a lot longer in that game as well, comparatively to Call of Duty. And now I just got to ramp it back up if I want to continue in Call of Duty. And we talked about it, right? There's new opportunities cropping up with Call of Duty, especially in the collegiate world, and there's already schools that are invested in it. So maybe that'll be a nice little sneak in, who knows? But aside from that, it's been a blast, and I hopefully will get the game working on my PC, because I was trying to run some games and it just was not cooperating with it. But it definitely has been a blast and a very nostalgic for me. Sad that Nuketown was in the pool. When I saw that announcement, I was messaging the organizers, if that's one of the maps that we get to have in the pool, then I'm going to be set, because that was my jam when I was back playing with Black Ops 1 on the Xbox.
Well, hell yeah. Well, look, folks, it has been a pleasure to be able to bring you a best of 3 series. It felt like best of 3. We'll be completely candid. But look, if you do want to see us back here again for Championship Sunday tomorrow, look, I know it's a tough choice between the 2 of us and the other 10 amazing people. Not only them, but the 5 other duos in total that makes up. So again, if you want to go ahead and see us back for Championship Sunday tomorrow, go ahead and cast your vote down at the link below. There will be a link in chat for voting as well. In the meantime, though, my name has been Korn. Along with me has been Zobi. It's been a pleasure to bring you the Call of Duty action today. We've got a couple more matches coming up tonight, and the rest of the duos fighting off in the cast-off. Stick around and join us for the late matches of the launch tournament for Black Ops 6.